Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Your host is Deborah Rue, CEO of Rue Global Impact and co-founder and chairwoman of Billion Strong, an identity and empowerment organization designed to bring billions of voices of persons with disabilities together. To join the global community and to donate to the cause, visit billion-strong.org. That's billion-strong.org. And now, on to the episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Rue. I'm the CEO and founder of Rue Global Impact and very proud to be the executive chair of Billion Strong, a global identity organization focusing on bringing people together with pride that have disabilities all over the world. So it's very exciting. So my guest today is Michelle Waslow with Jcpenney'S or JCP, and she is an executive vice president. I want to get it right, chief merchant officer. But we're going to talk about why Jcpenney's or JCP cares about all of its customers. And I will tell you, Michelle and I were talking about this off air, but I am a big fan of their brand. I have been a big fan of their brand since I was a little girl. My whole family was a big. We always went to JCPenney's for our back to school and our gifts. And I was one of the people that joined JCPenney's early on when they went online. Because Michelle, you were one of the first brands that went online.
Yes.
And I never knew why JCPenney's did that, but tell us more.
Because we actually had a catalog, and actually when online first started, it basically was a version of a catalog. And so we were early because we just uploaded our catalog online. And I think we all know online shopping now has become super inspirational and storytelling and videos. And so we've evolved, but we were an early adopter because of our catalog business.
Yeah, I remember buying gifts from my mom from your online, and people were saying, I can't believe you're going online to buy stuff. But I was like, oh no, I think it's really cool. And they'll just bring it to my house. And I also remember that year, I'm telling my age, when a couple of the brave brands like JCP and Toys R Us, actually people went to online so much that you couldn't handle it in the server. So
yeah,
I just
learned for the rest of the industry early on.
That's what I think. And I think because other people had catalogs, Michelle, but you just seemed to understand what was happening because some of the other brands that compete with you did not do that and still haven't done it very well. So y'all have, I always thought that was fascinating. And as one of your customers, I didn't understand why that was a priority. Now we understand, it almost seems like you're brilliant, right? But how in the world did y'all know to do this?
I know. Well, listen, you have to just know where the customer is going. And I wish it was now. It seems like every day there's a new way they're looking at product and buying product and interacting with product. But yeah, that makes this business exciting. It changes every day.
It does. And I think people don't realize how much it changes every day. And why? And so I want to use it correctly. What is your brand's name now? Because I, just as one of your old customers, JCPenney's.
It's JCPenney's.
But I see JCP also.
Yeah, so because jcp.com, we use JCP as our initials. And we're almost 120 years old, believe it or not.
Wow.
Almost 120 years old.
You look good.
Some of our most, loyal customers who just have loved us for years, they intimately call us Pennies. So we hear people say, I'm going to Pennies. Some people are like, I'm heading over to JCPenney. And so listen, I think that is the power of a brand that's almost 120 years old, is there's a shorthand connection we have with our customers. And I just think that's actually extraordinary. But yes, our formal name is JCPenney.
Yeah, and I agree. I always called you Pennies. And we have been customers just for so long. Well, for 62 years. So it is interesting how JCPenney's has done such a good job of, keeping us loyal. And that, of course, is so many people don't understand that. But I really like your brand. I feel like your brand is part of my family. And I don't feel that way about a lot of brands. There's some brands but you're one of those brands. And so I'm fascinated with that. But at the same time, I have a daughter with Down syndrome. And so I really appreciate that she's welcome in your store and to buy online from you as well with your adaptive clothing line. So that's probably why I love Jcpenney's, is because I feel like you care about my entire family.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if you look at JCPenney, and listen, we're starting on this journey, and I think we can all say we could have started sooner, but it's the start of the journey that really, as James Cash Pennyworth says, that's the most important part, is the start of the journey. But I think this is a company that has always been around just loving Americans, loving families, loving people. And we were probably, and we have been, and we still are, a leader in inclusion when it comes to plus and big and tall. And so now adaptive. And I just think that's important to just serve humans. So
I know it sounds silly to say it, doesn't it? It's like, right. It just, yeah, but we have multiple humans in our families. Yes. And I want to be able to shop for all of the humans in my family. And, yes. We are saying humans, but I know people buy stuff for their pets too. I'm always fascinated with how a brand connects with a consumer. Yep. And then once again, a consumer like me just being really loyal to your brand because of all the shopping experiences I've had for many years. But I really like
Deborah, which is interesting. The greatest thing I hear is whether we're hiring someone or we're talking to a customer, or just the amount of stories I've heard where someone says, oh my gosh, my mother, my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt, they worked there. They worked in this store. Like, I think we've actually really touched so many people's lives in America of some connection. That was the place I got my first credit card. That was the place there's actually a true memory that's associated with the company and with really powerful brands that people love and have been around for decades, some of our big private brands. And so I do think there is something that it's actually, we serve a community, and I think that's very different, which we're really proud of.
Yeah, I agree. And I never really had thought about it until I was preparing, and I was just thinking how I feel about the brand. But you're right. I think my first credit card was a Jcpenney's credit card, as a matter of fact. So it is interesting how we tie our life experiences with a brand.
Yes.
So compliments.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I also liked the point that you made, Michelle, about plus sizes, because I was always, as I've gotten older, I finally dropped the weight, but I was always a plus size early on in my life. And I hated that so many of the clothes they were so ugly. And so that was a really big deal, the plus sizes in the branding industry. And then now y'all are really showing leadership with adaptive clothing. So do you mind just exploring a little bit about why y'all make sure that everybody in the family can purchase from Jcpenney's?
Yeah, listen, I think it just goes back to the philosophy that we share as a company, is we want people of all abilities to feel cool and confident. Really, confident is so important in their clothing. And we were missing this, and we had to be honest with ourselves. And so I think what also was just an incredible inspiration, and you'll hear me talk about this throughout today, is the worst thing you can do as a company starting anything, or as just even individuals thinking about things in your own life, is pretend you know everything. It's just the worst thing you can do, because then you're actually taking an individualized view of something you're not knowledgeable about. Honestly, the best inspiration you can get is actually talking to customers. And so we talk to a broad swath of adults and parents of kids with disabilities, and who wear adaptive clothing, and just listen to them. And it was educational, it was inspirational, and it was a call to action, quite frankly. And we heard just over and over and over again, who says I don't want fashion? Yes, I need function. Yes, my child needs some function. Of course, that is, we understand that. But just like you said, it's so interesting, Deborah, that you said back when you wore plus and how it was not fashionable. Like, who made that rule? And so the same thing we heard, and that people want to, if there's a trend out there, why shouldn't everyone be able to participate in that trend? And so that was, not that I didn't think we would hear that, but the passion around that was really important, is give me function, but I beg of you, don't forget my fashion.
Yes, I know. Well, we don't want to look ugly just because we're a bigger size. Yeah, I always thought that way. I didn't want to look ugly when I was pregnant. I'm using bad language, I think, saying ugly, but as we think about identity, but I did want to look my best. I wanted to look my smartest. But I didn't always feel that the fashion industry cared about individuals like me. Now, of course, we know that's not true, but because Jcpenney's has been doing the adaptive clothing and inclusion. I know y'all were early on including individuals with disabilities in your ads, which that was another reason why I loved y'all, because I noticed that very early on too.
Yeah. We launched in July Thereabouts, which is a kids brand and has probably been the brand that's been most buzzed about. Thereabouts for kids was launched again, we call it hyper inclusive because inclusive could be a soft word. Hyper inclusive is very in bold on what we're trying to do. And so that line launched in July with all sizes, plus husky, all sizes, adaptive, and with a significant portion of the assortment in adaptive. And so I think that was, and just the videos you saw in the advertising, it's kids playing together at a park. Kids playing together at a park, not kids who are one way or another. It's kids playing together at a park in that video. And I think we can't underestimate the power of, and actually, if there is a video out there, if anyone sees it for Thereabouts, we've shared it with the external world. But when you see, that was not a kids act happy. We just filmed kids. And the joy, the utter joy of watching all these kids who were all just different. Like they were just boys, girls, some kids with disabilities. It was just kids. And their joy of playing together was actually real. You can't tell someone to act happy.
That's true.
You can't tell kids to act happy. Yeah, so that was really great. But I think it's beyond Thereabouts. We have very powerful brands at JCPenney who have been loved for years. And so we also just recently launched A&A in adult, men's and women's, A&A, Arizona, St. John's Bay, Worthington, Stafford, all have also launched adapt options for men and women. Because again, if we're going to be here for families, the family includes kids and adults.
Right. And families shift and change as we live our lives. I know that when my husband was a young man, he had this shirt I really liked to torture him, and it was snaps. So I could walk over to him, which he didn't appreciate, and I would just pull all the snaps open at once. But as my husband has aged, he sadly, due to a childhood car accident, he has aged into dementia, Parkinson, and epilepsy. And what's interesting is that shirt that has all snaps is a really helpful shirt now because my husband needs help getting dressed. He started struggling tying his shoes and getting his shoes on. And so it's for all of us, especially as we live our lives, because I know as I'm getting older, I have arthritis in my hands, and I never knew how much pain is associated with that. But at the same time, I find that certain clothes and stuff are harder for me to get on. And I do consider myself to have a neurodiversity, but it's just such an important thing to make sure that human beings all along their life can manage our clothes. It seems like such a silly thing to say, but it is a big deal, Michelle. So do you mind just giving some examples of how your clothes are adaptive in case people don't understand what we mean by that?
No, absolutely. And I think it's so important what you just opened up with, though, Deborah, is, again, not being experts, right? And seeking out. I mean, we did bring in expert help, and there are sensory, dexterity, and mobility. So there's not we do adaptive for that one. And so it's just, it's so important. All the things you just mentioned. My mom has arthritis too. I mean, and there's just so many ways that we can make clothing better. And so in our kids and adult, we've done sensory friendly seaming, hook and loop closures, magnetic zippers for really much easier dressing, hidden abdominal access openings. We have something just even as important as higher or lower pant rises for both modesty and comfort. That's also an important consideration. We added belt loops, adjustable waist, tagless, flat lock seaming, and then for adult, we also added magnetic buttons. The story of your husband with his shirts is important, but magnetic buttons, so easy. And again, back to, these are all things that also give confidence.
Yeah, because especially in a case where my husband, where life is taking things away from him now. It's his ability to dress himself, his ability to put on his own shoes. It's just really become such a challenge for him. And the things that you're talking about doing, those actually become very practical for all of us, because busy moms, people that are carrying 15 things in their hands and trying to shepherd children safely into the car or the house. So all of the work you're doing, it seems to make the clothing even more accessible to everyone else.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So how has your adaptive lines been accepted by your customer base?
Honestly, Deborah, to say that we have impacted people's lives would be an understatement. And I even hate to talk about it because there's a sales element of this, but
nothing wrong with making money as long as you're giving back to the society, which y'all are.
Right. And you know what, it's exceeded our expectations, to be quite frank. And it just shows you that while the industry, and we were part of Runway of Dreams recently, but while the industry is doing so much, we're actually really proud of the position we took in this. Not only, again, that fashion and function, but also bringing in experts and a marketplace strategy that I just think it has struck a chord with our customers, because it's a more holistic offering from both some national brands that we're now carrying on our site, along with the product that we designed and developed. So very strong results in kids, and the adult just recently launched, and you read the comments and it kind of, I'm just like, oh my, let's keep going. And so it's been really good, and it's been amazing. What I love the most is, as we're in retail, we're working on spring and summer next year. So we're already working on spring and summer product, and just watching our teams develop product and for all, right? And talking about all the trends that are going on, and not that trend's for that person, that trend's for this person. Oh my gosh, it's all about whatever, it's animal print or color, whatever it might be, and just having just the joy of designing that for everyone.
Yeah, and I just think it's so important. And I also think sometimes when people hear us talking about fashion, it just seems that that's just a nice to have. But the reality is how we feel about ourselves. It's a very important aspect of who we are as in society, in the workforce. It really, what we think about ourselves and what we think others think about us, it's very important in society, and fashion's a big part of that. And so if you're listening to this program and thinking, oh, you're just talking shallowly because you're talking about clothing, it's not. And I think that's you're showing surprise, Michelle, and you're changing people's lives by doing these things. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal. You're making people's lives easier. And when it's already so hard right now, I think you should be really proud of that. I really do.
I'm proud of the team. I'm blessed and honored that I get to represent the company and the teams and the partners we've worked with outside the company. But it's really, I just think, my only job was to actually let them go and let them do what they believed in.
Yeah, let them lead on.
Right.
And I know before we got on air, you told me you have 670 stores still.
Yes.
And you are online.
Yes.
So even though you're an American brand, do you consider yourself a global brand? Because, of course, people can shop online.
Oh, yeah, they can. Our stores are all in the United States, and we do have jcp.com. I actually don't know, Deborah, you probably stumped me. I don't know. I'm assuming someone could shop outside the United States. And
I would assume too. They just pay the shipping.
Yeah. I can admit that you stumped me on that one if they can do that. So
I brought it out of the left ear. But I also want to talk about, because one thing I thought that you brought up that was such an important point is that you didn't just say, okay, we'll do this. Here we go. You actually got experts involved. So tell us more about some of the strategic partnerships, especially the one with Patty and Ricky, to diversify your adaptive offering.
That was actually the first stop on our journey. Alex Harold, I don't know if you know her, but she is just an incredible woman, incredible, just person. And we actually brought her in very early on when we were developing the product. And along with all the customers we talked to, and just said, help us. And it wasn't just her coming in and saying, oh, that's cute, that's not. It actually help us with understanding language, help us with understanding, just honestly help us. And really she really, what I love about Alex is she's told me straight out before when, no, I know that's not what you mean. Like we have to be okay to also say, again, as I said at the beginning, that I have 3 children, and none of my kids have a disability. And so why am I trying to pretend that I know? And so she's been very helpful. But the other thing that was really important about bringing in Alex Harold, for those of you, I don't know if everyone knows, but she is CEO and founder of Patty and Ricky. And that's a marketplace for adults and kids with disabilities. But there was also so much product that is sold on her site that, again, like, why try to create product when there's already beautiful product created? And so we actually brought some of her brands onto jcp.com. And so we're selling Beetlebug and Max and Me and Myself belts and Pumpkin Fuzz and Slick Chicks. And that I think is really interesting. And that's what I do think we've been noticed for, is that I actually love that we're showcasing entrepreneurs and innovators of fashion and function solutions. And yeah, so it's been really great. She's just been fantastic. And we still keep in touch with her today.
Yeah, what a beautiful story. And I don't know her, but I know of her amazing, beautiful work. So I don't know. Sometimes you meet briefly. We've talked a little bit about what this means to the fashion industry. But can we just explore that a little bit more? Because fashion has changed so much since I was a little girl. And when I think at times in my life, I've thought that fashion was just fluff and stuff. But I look at it from a different lens now, and I think a lot of us are. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because there is so much involved with everything you're doing, including technology. So it's a big undertaking.
Yeah. And I actually think, Deborah, it's important because we've both been using the word fashion all day, which let's dispel what fashion means. Someone who's wearing just the best fitting t-shirt that is comfortable and a fantastic pair of jeans, that's fashion. Just like someone who has on a crazy sequin floral dress is fashion. Fashion is what people feel like they want their fashion to be. And that is fashion. So I think so often we say, oh, that person's really fashionable, and someone else is not. Actually, fashion is all of that. And so I think that's what's really important, is when I use the word fashion, I think you the same way. It's clothing and accessories that makes you feel confident. And I think we all know, it's why even the lounge industry has exploded so much. People all of a sudden, I want to feel confident and cute when I'm at home. And that moment when you put something on, it could be the most casual outfit, but if it feels right and it makes you feel better. Or when you go out and you have on, I know those days, I think we all do, where I don't feel great today because I don't like what I'm wearing. Right. And so that goes back to fashion and function for our adaptive clothing line. And so I think that's when I refer to fashion. Fashion is actually, all clothing has fashion elements into it. And
it's also interesting that I've had clothing that I loved before, but it wasn't very functional. And very quickly, it's just, I don't love it as much anymore, because I need something to be functional. I need it to be purposeful. I need it, all the other things, as well as I feel good in it. It's comfortable, those things. So there's so much more to it, I think, than sometimes society takes the time to explore, which is why I'm really glad you're taking the time to explore it. So what do you think?
And it was interesting because we did participate in the Runway of Dreams fashion show in New York. And listen, I'm in the business, so I've been to fashion shows. Hands down, coolest fashion show I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And again, what I can't express enough is the joy.
Yes.
The joy, the authentic, honest joy of watching the models with varying disabilities, ethnicities, backgrounds, and watching them on that runway in actually many of the industry clothes. But of course I was like, oh, look at our clothes. We had all of our major brands on them, and watching those models, just the joy. And they looked so awesome. And that's just, I've never gotten that from any other fashion show I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah, and I will tell you that my daughter was in the Runway of Dreams fashion show in 2018. And she was dressed head to toe in Tommy Hilfiger. And when she came out on the stage, she just threw her arms out. And she's come here, and the joy. I got so much joy, but so did everybody else. It's such a beautiful thing to go to a Runway of Dreams event. It's really amazing. And that's where a lot of the leading brands will be as well. So no big surprise that Jcpenney's is doing that. But so what's next for adaptive apparel at Jcpenney's?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, what's next is, listen, we want to learn, and we want to learn from our customers. Did we offer enough fashion? Did we get the function? I mean, there's things we need to continue to learn, but this is it now. This is what we do. And like I said, we're working on our spring and summer collections right now. And so really exciting to see how, and when I say working on our spring and summer collections, it's, again, as I said, for everyone. You will see right now, I think we have about 7 brands or so in JCPenney that are doing adaptive. We're going to look at brand expansions. We're just continuing. And then we'll continue to work again with the industry where there's partner brands that we want to continue to partner to do business with. And really, this is the start, but I'm also really a big believer in the worst thing the industry can do is do something wrong and take it away.
Right.
Or attempt to do something, do it slightly wrong and go, oh, it didn't work, and take it away.
Yes.
And so this will never be taken away. It will not be taken away, because you can't take away having everyone feel like they can be part of fashion and clothing and all those things we've talked about. But we want to grow it correctly so that we never take away something. And so we won't be taking this away.
Well, that's wonderful news, because we do see that happening, and it always breaks our heart a little bit in our community. But Michelle, what can we do? What can the community of people with disabilities around the world and those that love us do to help you be successful? Because we want you to be wildly successful. We want you to be more profitable than any of the other brands that aren't showing the leadership you're showing. So how do we help you be more successful? Because we really want you to be successful.
Honestly, and the old saying, feedback is a gift.
Right.
It's true. Listen, it takes, and I tell all my leaders too, if we can't hear the bad with the good, then we're not the right leaders, right? We have to listen to our customers. So we've gotten tons of positive feedback. Customers, this is what you do love. We talked about the early internet business and catalog business. There is so many ways to communicate. On our website, in the comment section, there's ways. We have people reach out to me on LinkedIn all the time. I think the most important thing is, if there's something that we haven't gotten right, we need to hear about it, because what I will tell you, there's not one bone of ill intent in anything that's happening. But I would say for anything, whether it's adaptive, whether it's plus, big and tall, whether it's just our home department, sheets, and you name it, we do rely on customer feedback. It's really important, and just give us feedback. And we also like to hear positive feedback too.
That's what I was going to say. But I also want to say that another thing our community can do is we can write letters to Michelle, to the CEO. We can get on social media and we can thank JCPenney's for including us. We have a really big voice. And so, yeah, we can ding them if they make mistakes, but what would happen if we all got together and wrote letters and got on social media and said other brands should be following their lead? We do have a role to play in this. They're listening to us. They're including us. We are part of the family. They're already very deliberately including us, but we need to thank them so that it's definite. Everybody will hear that we appreciate it, because I think that's also a way to move forward. So just wanted to say that too. We forget to do that. Sometimes I think people are too quick to just write negative stuff. Especially right now, I think we need to do a better job of actually also complimenting y'all for doing this, because not all brands are doing this. There's only a few brands doing this around the world. We're making progress, but there's not a lot of JCPenney's doing this stuff. So just want to give you those kudos. But also, if I am a customer and I'm going in to shop for my family, where do I find the adaptive clothing in JCPenney's? Is there a section? Or
actually, we carry it online. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah, it's online. And, Deborah, I think it's a really fair question. Do we have it in stores or online? And actually, our decision to carry it on online only right now was actually because of the broad nature of mobility, dexterity, everything. And so we want to ensure that no matter the customer, they can have access and find everything they need. And that's why we have it online. So the 100% of the choices are available to 100% of the people.
Yeah. I personally would rather it be online because I don't go into the store anymore. And I go into the store and it's the one size I need. I just like it online better because I always see exactly what I need. But I know that everybody has different shopping needs, but I think it's wonderful. And then like we said, also you should be able to get it outside the States. We don't know, but I would assume you could. But I asked you this before, but I just want to go back a little bit to this one question. And I know I've kept you already over 30 minutes, but what do you think are truly the next steps for the fashion industry? Because we hear the fashion industry and the brands like Jcpenney's listening to us saying, hey, sometimes we are different shapes and sizes, and sometimes we put on our clothes in different ways. But what do you think is next? And where are we going with the fashion industry?
Yeah, it's been really interesting for me. I've been in this I'm going to age myself too. I've been in retail for 35 years.
Wow.
And it has changed, I think, for the better, dramatically. And I think where we're going is we are just doing things for people. And I know that's a kind of a simplified approach to it, but I think so long it was, we have to see if we can address this customer segment, this customer's a plus. And listen, first off, I will say the fashion industry is not there yet, but I do think that our society and the beautiful diversity of America is showing up. There have been different size, shapes, models on major designers' runways now for years. When I started in retail in the 80s, you would never see anything but the skinny supermodel on the runway. And so right. I just think things have evolved where we're just doing things for people. Are we there yet? No. Are we way further where it's not this like weird, hard conversation? Because why should it be a hard conversation? And I think the industry is also getting better about ensuring that we represent we represent our customers through even the team members who work for fashion. And so, yeah, I feel optimistic. I mean, so much work to still do but I think that we're getting over the hump. And I do think I follow Instagram and all these social media, and I just think the standards, what standards?
And forever we've been making statements with our fashions about who we are. Our political, our sports, our countries, we're always telling people who we are based on our fashion. So I'm really appreciative that a brand that I care about so much is making this a priority. So how do people find out about Jcpenney's?
Yeah, we have all sorts we are on social media. We have on Facebook, people can follow Jcpenney. We are Instagram. I'm sure Deborah will get to you and you can put out to all we have various ways you can find us. But I think there's just go onto our social media sites and go onto jcp.com and actually you can even shop.
Yes, please do go and shop, because the more they sell, the more they're going to make. That's
absolutely.
That's the reality of capitalism.
But it's also nice to just explore. We've done a lot of work. I've only been at the company for 2.5 years, and I'm actually really proud on behalf of our customers, the work we've done in the last 2.5 years on just, clarifying our brands, driving for more inclusion. Just there's some really great things we've done. And even, like I said, even if it's not about clothing and you want to buy home or beautiful diamonds, we have a lot to offer at JCPenney. But I think what everyone will feel as you explore our site, our social media, and our stores is we're American families shop. And
that's what I've always felt. So I've always felt like this was just part of my history and part of my family, and I haven't thought about it as much. I feel that way with the AT&T brand because both my parents worked for AT&T their whole lives, so I feel very loyal to the AT&T brand. But that's what happens is these brands become part of society. And as you said,
Absolutely.
this is an American brand that we're very proud of, everything that Jcpenney's is doing. Michelle, thank you so much.
Oh, it's
for
been amazing to
everything
be
you're
here with
doing.
you. You're fantastic.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the leadership and that you're taking the time to talk about it and teach other brands how to do it as well, and that you're listening to the community. We applaud that, and we hope you continue to thrive. And I know that you and I connected, I believe, on LinkedIn, so you said people can connect with you on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So, in case they have questions, and we appreciate you, Michelle. You keep leading.
No, I appreciate all of you. Okay.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, you keep doing it because we need people holding the light, and that's what we think of you, Michelle. Thanks, everyone. Go out and buy from Jcpenney's and let them know how much you appreciate what they're doing. And it's just such a huge deal to actually write a letter, write a post on social media, send emails to let them know what they're doing right also. So I would highly recommend people to do that. So thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Human Potential at Work. To learn more about Rue Global Impact, visit rueglobal.com. And to learn more about Billion Strong, an identity and empowerment organization designed to bring the billions of voices of persons with disabilities together, you can join the global community and donate at billion-strong.org. That's billion-strong.org.